So welcome. I'm doing tonight the gate 59. The sun will be in gate 59 as of what's the date today? Today's the 21st. So I'll put this out. I guess depends where you are, 22nd, 23rd. I may put this out early. And 21st is tomorrow. So Saturday then. So this is part of the new moon in Virgo, 0 degrees. And the moon will be passing through it around the same time. So it's interesting. It's fun when I do the transit sun gate and the moon happens to be flowing there too. What that does is it underscores the energy of these days when it's a new moon along with the sun transit gate. And so this creates like a super uh, initiatory highway of beingness for the next 5 days. And it's a longer cycle because it's going to go all the way up until the next full moon in Virgo, which will be around March. So this is a long cycle. And this is a cycle of a new beginning, as new moons are. And because it's in Virgo, it's a new organization of our life around our daily practices, schedule, and rituals, as well as purification of the body. This is a signification of letting go of food and implements or supplements or anything that prevents you from feeling into your body. Like for myself, as a good example, is my nervous system tends to go into a panic state around 9 o'clock every night. And if I don't eat anything sweet, if I don't try and compensate for a bitter life, a bittersweet life, then I'll feel the need to have something sweet. And when I decide not to, I have to like feel through uh, the nervous system and the emotions that are overstimulated or the traumas that come up through just feeling them out, really. And if I have the time, making sure I do a night meditation before sleep, before midnight. And that just helps for me to feel into not necessarily know or like detective work it, but just let go of whatever comes up. And this is an especially good why I'm underscoring that is because it's an especially good time to feel into this because this new moon is asking us to give up our old habits, our habits that are not conducive to our new growth. And the consequences of not following this, I hate to sound so, you know, instructive, but the consequences are present in the fact that we're having eclipses on the Virgo Pisces axis, which is where our nodes are having their current axis. So, really, on many layers and levels, the major themes of the modern moment in the modern times around this Aries vortex is the vortex of, or as I was saying, the polarity of the Virgo Pisces energies. And so we have the Pisces eclipse on September 7th at 15 degrees. And then we have the Virgo 28-degree eclipse on September 21st. And these are just partial rungs on the ladder to the end of the cycle, which again will be in March with a full moon in Virgo ending this particular cycle. So we'll be able to measure there then at that time how we've done. Have we have we avoided the distractions? Have we passed the tests along the way? And have we kept to a new health regimen? That's what this is about. And I'm going to go over now the gate and some details of the gate, some general details for those who might have this gate and those who interact with it. And then I'll go deeper into the genetic instruction that's actually changing in the gate 59 because it's part of shift and change of the right angle cross of the sleeping of sorry, the of planning, the right angle cross of planning to the right angle cross of the sleeping phoenix in 2027 in the spring. And so I'll start us off. This is known as the gate of intimacy. In the I Ching, it's known as the gate of dispersion. It's about the genetic strategy of sexuality. Based on dissolving barriers, we establish union. So we connect genetically through genetically ordered interactions that allow for intimacy, openness, and associations on a profound level of life. We all come into this world conceived through the acts of human intimacy, and either are willing or unwilling to acknowledge this. And so gate 59 is a gate about those who have this, I would say, have a powerful beacon of energy that's able to emit signals of attraction and intimacy. And so it's a bonding energy, it's a bonding vortex. And relative to the particular line, there are certain procreative and sexual patterns that come about through this interaction, through the interactions, through the, depending on what line someone might have, there are different strategies for intimacy. And so, in essence, it's about dispersion of the life force energy, which is sexual energy. And it throws out signals, both personally and professionally, in order to interact and bring with it connection and contact. And like any gate, this is relative to your personal authority. Are you aligned with your authority in order to engage the correct fulfillment for the body? So, as I mentioned, on a base level, this is the drive, the biological drive and imperative to procreate. And this leads to sexual energy that needs an outlet. Usually, people with this gate are particularly very fertile, but it'll depend again on the lines and also the match. And of course, the other side of this is gate 6. And gate 6 is the gate of conflict. It's very fascinating that you have a procreative gate and the other side is conflict. This speaks to the inherent nature of sexuality in our genetic coding and what that is based on. And I'm going to go into to that a little. Now, what I'm getting at is this is a type of programming. Val Valerian's Matrix 5 books went into this deeply, and it went so deeply into it that it talked about the nature of sexuality in relationship to both the female genome and the male genome, and what the programming is for these particular biologies are, what the biological coding is in a physical body. And the author talked about in those books, he talked about, and he used certain terminology relative to body identification. And he talked about those who were able to access a certain level of frequency, that they were able to burn past, to spiritually actually evolve past certain body identification mechanisms and identify actually with the spirit. And that this had an effect on the DNA to turn off some of the genetic markers that are assigned to us in programming us to procreate. Now, with the cross-up planning that we've experienced over the many hundreds of years, That's the program. I mean, the program is to move. I mean, the cross of planning is all about traveling and moving from place to place to find genetic diversity, to move about the earth, to procreate. This all such reminds me of there's this quote by Jorge Luis Borges. He's like the Argentinian equivalent of Philip K. Dick. And he had this great quote in his amazing short story, Ton Ukbar Orbis Tertius. And it was for one of those Gnostics, the visible universe was an illusion, or more precisely, a sophism. Mirrors and fatherhood are abominable because they multiply it and extend it. Boris was a little hilarious in the sense that what he's talking about in this quote is the nature of our experience of the universe is something that's like a mirror. It multiplies through procreation. And abominable, why? Because, well, this perspective, of course, is a more postmodernist perspective on the nature of humanity. And for those of us who read and are current with the philosophies of our time, and including transhumanism and accelerationism, we know that these philosophies, these philosophical systems are not very supportive of the human race continuing to exist in the way that it has. And, the sun and the program in itself, the planets, the astrological or human design, however you want to say it, also has its own program. I mean, again, we are experiencing the evolutionary process through these bodies. And this even releases an anthropomorphic identification with being human to some extent, and that of which is after humans. I mean, many human design analysts like myself are talking about, the rave that are supposedly coming in 2020, slowly starting to come in 2027 till 2000, whatever, until the next evolutionary process occurs or level. And the raves, like as you can see right here, there's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, yeah, 10 centers. The rave is supposed to have 11 centers. So there'll be a new chart we'll be developing. I wonder if anyone's developed it yet. And what I'm communicating here is that there's a huge change coming, and it's not coming, it's happening inside of us. It's happening in our genetic sequence. And there's certain particular gates that are changing, that are like it's almost like a genetic cleansing happening because we all know this. This is mentioned in psychology and in all the multiple applications and spawn-offs of psychology and the study of human health and the nervous system and all these factors. And what it is that there's a genetic cleansing taking place because we all know that our genetics are outdated. Outdated in the sense that we respond in certain ways as if horrifying, like our life's being threatened, when our ego is being threatened with someone that disagrees with us. Some of us react and respond with a feeling in our nervous system that our life's being threatened. And that's not the case, obviously. So these are outdated genetic programming that's going to be shifting and changing. And humans, in that sense, are going to become something something other than that experience. You're going to become more independent and individual in a certain sense. And I'll go into this a little. This is something I'll go into a little more when I begin to explore more the process of what the 2027 genetic shifts and changes are in the body. But for now, like, I think it's pretty clear with what many of us are looking at in terms of the tribal and collective channels, which are here on the outside. You see gate 59 here, it's something tribal. And then the 5027 is tribal. Because these channels in the middle, for example, going up the human design graph, are individual. Each two sides are collective. And so it's the shift and change we're going through is we're going through the ending of the tribal and even a collective reliance towards an era of more self sourced energy and process. And we're all seeing this now, the decline of all the systems that we're used to, the institutions that we've relied upon for so many years are breaking down. And the same is going to be with our genetic sequence of the 59, which seeks out the need to procreate. That's going to change a bit. What that looks like, well, can't quite well say, but we'll see. And so this is undergoing alongside other changes, like of course the emphasis on individuality I'm speaking of. Uh, an extreme rise in decentralization. I mean, we are really going to have new innovations that come up in certain communities that are going to be focused on very specific ways, self-led forms, self-collectives. And there'll be an increased energy awareness because all this energy we give to the procreative process, I mean, it's so much energy. Our procreative process is based on fear, fear that we won't survive, so that we have to procreate in order to survive, create a family, create a unit, create something to bar against the world, or it doesn't always have to be that way, but in that sense that even intimacy is based on fear, fear of being unable to survive without a partner, without another. And it's very economically based, how we have all that set up. All this is changing as well. And so this gate 59 is going to become something else. It's going to go through, it's going through now. Some of us are really experiencing now a deep transformation. And we're going to be shedding these like conditioned ways that have been conditioned in us for so long. And gate 59 in itself is a part of this transformation, along with gate 55 and gate 49, no, gate 55 and 34 and 20. And as I have been saying, 59 is our drive to multiply. And because of this overriding genetic need to reproduce through intimacy, human beings have not really experienced, not very often, a real level of depth and even wanting to see and know each other. Because the family has been the basis of our programming. And I'm not judging good or bad. I'm not qualifying this in any regard. This has just been the program. And fear has been the foundation of this program. It's the foundation of human attraction. Fear of survival, fear of the other, quelling these fears in ways that are economically protective. And this is all changing, but what does this mean right now for those of you that have it? Well, I mean, you're dealing with the tension in the genes, and of course depends who you are, like male, female, like what your, what your particular sexuality is at this time. And we're dealing with genes right now that are thus holding us back from experiencing and realizing the full nature of identity because they're programmed towards something else. And so this is just another step in our evolutionary process to reach a greater individuated space and central gravity of truth in life. And this process is all happening amidst the continued process of the 59 still reproducing, because we still will be continuing to reproduce. And that's, of course, still is an amazing process that humans are able to have and experience. All this will continue because these changes will be very slow and gradual. And so this is what it is. At this stage of evolution, we're going to leave fear behind in a very strong regard, because these new sense and levels of awareness are coming about very quickly. Every day there's a new system that takes into account how the body heals and processes information. There's so many healing systems now dependent on the bioenergetic field of the body, the nervous system. And so many different patterns and processes of somatic work that people are realizing that you just touch the body, your own body. You communicate with your own organs. You listen to them, you hear them. You hear your body talk to you. And this is the future. This is what it is. This is the future of medicine. And so we're becoming, in some extent, and this is kind of weird to say, but in some extent, we're becoming androgynous beings. But I won't go into that any further. And perhaps that's long off. That's not something necessarily around the corner. But we will be releasing this fear that's in our genetic coding. This fear will be releasing. And I named this video, as you could see here, the vortex heart that opens and does not close, because we're talking about the capacity of humans to open the heart and be strong in keeping the vortex heart open and allowing the energy to always flow and not tighten up or block the energies of flow and movement that our body needs to survive, just like an animal, just like Peter Levine talks about in his book on the tiger. I forgot what it's called. But somatic work stuff, where you realize that humans need to complete their traumas. They need to physically process through it. And so we're all looking outside, they got us on the YouTube, the doom scrolling, they got us on the news, they got us on all that looking outside. What's happening next outside of us? Oh, there's what did I see? There was this interesting 4chan conspiracy about it was hilarious. Let me see if I can find it. It was about like fake humans working on docks, oil rigs. It's insane. Like there's it's just like they're throwing the kitchen, everything but the kitchen sink at us. Like anything we could think of is like a news item, right? Like it's so ridiculous at this point, with Neptune and Saturn on the Aries vortex. What's real, what's not? It's just all entertainment, tainting us. Just so much. Like I just take it amusingly now. I don't take it any, I'm not interested in the veracity anymore. Is this true? Is that true? How can I know? If I feel it in my heart to be true, maybe it's true. But I don't know that I have that type of energy to look at every video and assess. It's more the ideas that interest me anyway. Just the path that what would I use it for? Like tools for comedy, props, idea props for modern comedy. But what I'm getting at here, because I want to stick with this gate, I'm going too far talking about other things, is this is a gate where the changes are coming. So those of you with this gate, you're going to be feeling a transformation. The vibrations of your field will change. In these next level awarenesses, like one thing to regard in, like the 59 is like a gate of discernment, of judgment, of assessment of what's correct to create in this world. What's correct? What's not? How can we empower? How can we obviate the fear that's in our lives? How can we disperse the fear and be okay? What, what kind of what do we have to lock ourselves, what kind of deal do we need to make? What do we need to lock ourselves into in order to survive? This is what we're moving past. And the timing of this, again, it'll come when it comes. It's not anything we can assess exactly. I don't mean to say it's exactly going to be spring of 2027. This is a process. This is a process that'll be years and decades in the making. And it's fascinating because what we can observe is we can observe the energy between the sexes in the sense that the genetic strategy here is related to the fact that the sexes fear each other. That part of the process of intimacy in itself is something that has to do with fear. And so there's something about the raw power of sexuality. And we're living in a time where we enjoy that or experience that in multi-varied ways and expressions. And as it is with this transvaluation of morals that Nietzsche spoke of in our times, everything is permissible. And so we have, events that celebrate the death of man, which have, orgy type events celebrating sexuality. But in those instances, do they acknowledge the raw power of sexuality? I mean, sexuality in itself is something plutonic. It's the soul itself. It's like a lightning flash of the soul expressing and sharing its energy. And it has capacity to do so much relative to intent that it can be a little scary. And it is scary. I mean, the raw power of sexuality is something that has always threatened mankind or threatened individuals. Our very lives are based on sexuality. Every aspect of our lives are, whether we acknowledge or not, or the transcendence of sexuality, of sublimating those energies into higher focal points of awareness. And that's partly the direction we'll be going in because are we not to overcome like this need for judgment? Judgment is something that holds the world in place. It holds this Saturnian fixture in place. And that's something we'll be transcending as we go beyond, as we're ready to go beyond the boundaries and limits of just a straight Saturnian reality. Of course, I don't know when that'll be, but this is all seems very progressive towards that, anyways. And so gate 59 will be active as of the 23rd to the 28th. This is the last week of August. Astrologically, there's a lot happening with this chart. There's like a yod. Um, there's, and the yod is the finger of God aspect. There's also a bunch of inconjuncts from the Virgo new moon, pretty much to all the planets of the Aries vortex. And so, as I was saying before, this is a purification process. And this movement, an inconjunct is energy that has to be separated. So we have our new beginnings with our Aries vortex in all the ways, with Pluto and Uranus shedding its light. But the new moon itself is the new moon itself. It's the new way itself. It's the purification. It's the new body, the new habits. It's a new incorporation of who we are and through our everyday life and health. And these eclipses that come will test that. And so we don't want to make any unhealthy aspects of ourselves visible to these eclipses. Because these eclipses, whatever they see, they will expand. And I meant to look up where the eclipses are happening, but I will do some eclipse videos soon. It is good to know where exactly on the Earth plane they're occurring. And so the inherent nature of this particular new beginning in a gate, which at its lowest frequency represents fear and lies and dishonesty. In higher expressions, it is intimacy, true into me you see. And then its highest regard, transparency, because it's absent of fear. And the highest frequency of absence of fear is an open heart. That's not a vulnerable heart. It's a heart that's open at its proper percentage. I know in my energy work classes, we would have the front of the heart and the back of the heart opened at different frequencies. And open relative to, what we're doing in the everyday. But it's definitely important not to have a closed heart in life because putting the heart in ice does cause issue with the health of the heart. And so in its highest frequency, we're looking to have an open heart relative to what we're doing, who we're with, of course, relative to how much it's open, but in general, like being able to persist with a vortex heart that allows the energy to move and allows the fire to burn at that center, at the alcove of the heart, the fire of purification. There's this great meditation called The Void and the Fire in the series Wheel of Time. And it's a meditation where you visualize, or you just put a candle in front of you and you visualize the fire. And then the energies you're ready to let go of, you just put that in the fire and let it burn away. And so that's what it is. I don't think I have too much more to add. I think that's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. This is gate 59 down here, if I didn't show already, coming off the sacral center. And this is a reflector chart for around this new moon. And because you can see there's no channels defined. But for those of you who have gates on the other side and who are looking at what energy can be utilized, because we are in a busy time. We're leaving the flame of Leo, and we're entering the purifying ground of Virgo. And so there will be more organization needed in preparation for getting things done prior to the eclipses and throughout them. And there are shifts in the economy occurring, and there are significant changes happening around the fall equinox that are already being prepared to shift and change. And in preparation for those changes, it's important we acknowledge what powers and skills we have. And so we can begin things with the 53. Pluto has returned to gate 60 in retrograde. And that particular gate is, oh, I don't have it in front of me. I'm forgetting. Oh, no, limitations. So accepting limitations and restrictions. Those themes might come about again. And with the North Node in Pisces on the gate of grace, it's about being able to go through our experiences with grace. And then we have gate 55 active. The Earth opposite 59 is going to be active on this new moon. And 55 is another genetic gate that's shifting and changing. And that gate has to do with our nature, our natures of our animal nature, our sexuality, and control around that. And it's also relative to, as both these gates are, the fear that rules all the relative modern systems that are transforming. And so, with a new sense of behavioral integrity, we have to have grace with what we're seeing, with things that are dissolving and being and just being let go of. We're letting go of things we don't need anymore and stepping into a new way. And so you see the Aries vortex is still active with gate 25, ready to make the leap to the 51 to the other side. Gate 55 is a very moody gate, so you guys may be feeling this, especially those with the 39 or who already have the 55. Music will be very helpful during these times when the 55 can be overwhelming, either playing music or listening to it. Gate 33 is open. Sorry, it's defined. And so those with the 13 will bring out the secrets that need to be unveiled and communicated. Gate 56, still loving the travel. Uranus in gate 20, the simultaneous mind, the nervous system's definitely being overstimulated, but also transcended for a new experience of awareness, of paradox. And the 48 with its depths, being ready to, with the 16, being ready to be shared with the world. And I think that's it. Oh, gate 22. Here's where the North Node is, the gate of grace that I spoke of already, doing what we do with limitations and grace. And 47 always looking for the answer. But it's our South Node, and we're letting go of that. We don't always need the exact answer. Sometimes we need to trust. And we're in that time now. We're in that Pisces North Node where it's important to trust beyond anything else. We're not going to be able to research things Virgo like to their exact nature. We're just going to have to trust if it's correct or not. If it feels correct, then it's correct. If it feels correct relative to one's authority, of course, whether that's splenic spontaneity, gut response, solar plexus authority would be feeling clear. The quality of the voice would be ego and G center authorities, as well as mental projectors. Mental projectors, of course, would need to talk it out with their tribe and hear it out so they can come from their truth. And of course, a reflector would be their monthly moon cycle, moon phase process until they're clear. And so that's it. That's all I got for you guys. Thanks so much for listening. And until next time.